You walk out of an interview feeling like it went really well. You answered the questions well, you connected with the interviewer or interviewers, and all in all, you walk out feeling really good. And then you wait. Days go by, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and you start to wonder, what are they saying about me behind closed doors? That's what I'm talking about in today's video. It's a juicy topic. I'm going to walk you through what they're saying about you after you leave, after they reconnect, usually towards the end of an interview process. This could be a second, third, final interview. And after all of the people involved, if it was a panel or different levels within the organization, they get together and discuss the different candidates that they interviewed. Once you understand what they're evaluating, it's going to help you perform better in your interviews. It's going to help you show up in a way that helps them make the decision to choose you much easier. If we haven't met yet, I'm Danielle Bradley, and I'm a career coach for mid-career professionals. And after helping hundreds of mid-career professionals land the role that they want, I can tell you that what happens after you leave the room is just as important as what happens in the interview room. So let's talk about what's being discussed behind closed doors. What happens after you leave? Let's start with what the process looks like on the other side. After your interview, the hiring manager typically is going to reconnect with anyone else that you met with. That may happen the same day. It may happen a day or two later. But in most mid to large companies, there's going to be either a formal debrief process or an informal one. That could be a quick call, it could be a Slack message, it could be via email, a shared scorecard, or a formal sit-down meeting. And each interviewer is going to share their impression of you. And collectively, they're trying to answer this question: should we move forward with this person or not? Now, here's what most people don't realize. They're not just reviewing your answers. They're discussing things that you probably haven't even thought about. So let me break it down. Number one, they're asking themselves, can this person do the job? This is, of course, the most obvious one, but this is where the conversation starts. They're trying to figure out if you have the skills and experience to do the job well. But here's what makes it tricky. They're not just checking boxes against a job description. They're looking for very specific results that either your resume clearly shows, and ideally that you've been able to share in a compelling way through your interview stories. So it's important to understand, did you talk about what you accomplished, or did you just talk about what you were responsible for? There's a big difference between saying I managed a team of 12 versus saying I built and led a team of 12 that increased revenue by 30% in 18 months in a flat market. One tells that you had a job, the other one shares the story of how you delivered specific results. So this is something that may very well come up in the debrief. And depending on your answer, they may be all in with you as a candidate, or they might hesitate. The second thing that they're looking at is, did the person show enthusiasm and energy for the job? This also might be surprising, but it comes up in a lot of debrief conversations. Ultimately, hiring managers want to hire someone who wants to do the job, who has passion for their mission, for what they're looking to accomplish, for their goals. I know this sounds really simple, but I can't tell you how many hiring managers I've talked to and candidates on the other side where there was a mismatch in the energy that they perceived in the interview room. If two candidates have similar qualifications, typically the one that shows the most enthusiasm likely wins the role. So in the debrief, if someone says that you might have felt a little flat, or you didn't seem to be energized or enthused about the opportunity, that could cost you the offer. Number three, they're asking themselves, will they fit the team? And this is a lot more subjective, obviously. The team members are asking themselves, can I see myself working well with this person every single day? In the interview, they're paying attention to how you communicated. Were you collaborative in the way that you described things? Or did everything sound like a solo effort? It's important to balance the we and the I in your interview stories so that it doesn't seem like everything was done by the team or by you on your own. A balance of both we and I in your stories can make a real difference here. They may also assess if you asked great questions about the team, the work, the mission, or did you only talk about yourself? Did you come across as someone who lifts people up or someone who might be a little bit of a challenge to work with? And here's something else that's really important, especially if you're interviewing at the manager, director, or VP level. They may wonder, how will this person lead? Will our team want to work with them? They may not tell you any of this during the interview, but it's going to matter and it's going to come up in the debrief. Number 4, they're asking themselves, are they a risk? This one is uncomfortable to hear, but hiring managers definitely think and talk about risk. And for mid-career professionals, the risk conversation can go in a couple of different directions. If you have over 20 years of experience, for instance, and you're applying to a role that they may perceive as a potential step down for you, they might wonder if you're going to get bored if they were to offer you the job. Or they may wonder if you'll feel frustrated reporting to someone much younger and less experienced than you. They may also wonder if they can afford you. They may think that your true salary expectations may be above even what might have been discussed early on in the interview process, and they'll perceive that as a potential risk. If they think that you'll just accept something, maybe you're in transition and it looks like you're maybe taking a step down, they're going to perceive that as a risk. They may ask themselves if you're coachable. This one comes up more than you think, especially at the leadership level. You want to have a good balance of confidence and showcasing your leadership, but not coming across as rigid and set in your ways. Even at the senior level, companies are looking for people who will be able to be flexible and learn a new work environment. Number 5, they're asking themselves, how do you compare with the other candidates? This is hard to think about. We don't want to think about there's other people in the mix, but of course it's happening. With the debrief, your interview performance and your background gets discussed against other candidates in the mix. And here's where it gets interesting. The comparison isn't always about who has the most experience or the best experience. It often comes down to this: who clearly articulated that they know how to solve the problems that we have and they have a passion for it. They have a high level of interest and excitement for solving the problems that we're having, which is why the role is open in the first place. They're also assessing who looks like they would be able to hit the ground running so we can get some results quickly. And they're also thinking about, who do we see ourselves working with really well? Who do we truly want to work with? I've seen candidates with less experience get roles that other more qualified candidates should have gotten because they were better at telling the story, at positioning themselves as the person who could solve the problems, who wanted to solve them, and who would be amazing to work with. Number 6, they're asking themselves, did they ask good questions? At the end of most interviews, they ask you, do you have any questions? And it's important to be very prepared for that. If you don't have any questions at the end and you feel like they've covered everything, it can show a lower level of interest and preparation. Strong candidates are going to ask questions that demonstrate they've done their research, they've paid attention every step of the way through the interview process. Through the process, you learn more about the company and about the role and the problems that they're looking to solve. So you want to make sure that you showcase that through the interview process as you get into the final rounds of interviews. So now that you know what's being discussed, let's talk about what you can do about it. Obviously, you can't control who else is interviewing. You can control the energy that you bring into the room and how you connect your experience to what they need right now. You can prepare interview stories that are going to showcase that you have delivered results that are relevant for what they're looking for. And you can ask questions that show genuine interest. The candidates who do well in the debriefs are the ones that make it easy for the hiring team to say yes. One of our clients, Sherry, had 16 years of experience in client success and sales leadership, and she was looking to make a career pivot, and she was looking to make a move in a different industry. One of the things that we worked on was how she was telling her story in her interviews. She had the transferable skills and the experience, but she needed to make it easier for them to see that what she had done in the past was 100% relevant to what they were looking for. She ultimately landed a client services role in a totally different industry, in the aviation industry. She's such an example of how interview positioning matters. If you have an interview coming up, you want to prepare for the debrief before it happens. Ask yourself these 5 questions. Can I clearly describe 3 results I've delivered that are relevant to this role. Am I showing genuine energy and enthusiasm, or am I holding back? Am I telling stories that show collaboration and leadership, or does everything sound like I did it alone? Do I have thoughtful questions prepared that show I've researched this company? And have I addressed any potential concerns like why I'm leaving, why there's a gap, or why I'm making a change with a clear, confident answer? If you can check all these boxes, you're going to be a much stronger candidate in the debrief room. Subscribe to my channel for more advice for mid-career professionals. And if you'd like some support with your interview preparation and your job search strategy, I invite you to book a free Get Hired strategy call with us. The link is in the description below. And watch this video next, why you're not getting job offers after the final interview. It breaks down the most common reasons mid-career professionals lose out in the end and what they can do differently. I'll see you in the next video.